Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while since I've been on because my family's been on vacation up in Canada for the last week or so. We had lots of fun and got refreshed, and now I'm ready to come back and work. So for today's video, we do have 7 thrift flips for you. Each of these pieces are just kind of from random thrift stores that I've been shopping throughout the last month or so. Thought I'd get something done. And if you're new here on my channel, welcome. My name is Tara. This is the Reclaimed Ranch. I like to do DIY projects, furniture flips, different thrift flips, just to kind of give new life to pieces that would otherwise end up in the landfill. And so I do have some news for you guys. As soon as I hit 1,000 subscribers, we're going to do a giveaway. This is just my own personal giveaway, a way to say thank you for subscribing and watching my videos. So the video that got the most views was the IOD transfers, and so I figured I would go ahead and do a giveaway on those. So this isn't part of the transfers that I used, but it's a good, if you've never used transfers, it's a good way to kind of step into it. This is called the Seed Catalog, and it's got some really cool little pictures of fruits and vegetables and different seed packets so that you can use it on different small items at first, just to kind of figure out how to do it. It's very easy. You can kind of refer back to my videos to show you how to do it, but so we're going to give this one away, as well as the one that I used in that video called Wander. I used this on the big window, and it's just gorgeous florals. And you can cut these up, or you can use them like I did. I used whole pieces to make that big window, but you can get a lot of projects done out of this. So that's kind of exciting news, and we'll do that as soon as we hit 1,000 subscribers. We'll kind of randomly pick a winner, and what you'll want to do is I'll kind of post later on when we're going to do it, but you'll have to like the video, comment, all that stuff, but we'll give more instructions later on. And so let's go ahead and get into today's video and all the thrift flips, and I hope you enjoy, and let me know what was your favorite one.
So these are the 7 projects that we are going to be doing today. I found this mantle clock. It's not wood. It's kind of like a plaster, really heavy plaster. There's a little cow and an angel candle holder. This little lamb with the chicks is super cute, and a little bird lamp. So for the first one, my aunt found this little cow at a thrift store over in Seattle, and she thought it was hilarious. So I thought it was cute, so I got it. I don't like the yellow on it, and so we're going to use DIY's little black dress and paint it black, and that way it'll kind of match a little bit better with the sunflowers. And then I'm going to bring back some of the details with a bronzing material, and you'll see that here in just a little bit. And I only had to use 1 coat of the black. So this is a Waverly's Antiquing Glaze. That's just going to help richen that black color and really give it some depth, but this is not the bronzer yet. I'm going to do that for the last step. So just using this Antiquing Glaze over the black that I painted. It's also going to seal that paint. Since it's the DIY clay paint, it does need to be sealed. And you can see how it kind of richens that black color. And this is that Antiquing bronzing material. It's Rub and Buff. And this color is the Rub and Buff Spanish Copper. And you can see it just gives it a nice sheen over those highlighted areas. And for project 2, this is a candle holder that I got. It's very big in size. And today I'm going to use DIY's skeleton key, and I'm going to paint it on. I was originally going to paint the entire thing completely, but then as I started, I kind of liked the look of just doing like a dry brush, like a really thick dry brush over the top. It allows some of those details to pop. I was going to end up putting something in the details anyway, but that just kind of saved me some time. So I am going to put 2 coats on, just kind of go over it in some of the areas that need more. And then I'm going to use a baby wipe to distress back some of the areas that I got too much on. You can see here, it's very easy to do this wet distress technique on this clay-based paint, and makes it easy to fiddle with it and get it the way you want it. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and seal this up with Big Top. I'm going to just put one good coat over the entire thing. And then this piece will be ready. Okay, and the next one, I'm going to be using Fusion Hazelwood. That was kind of hard to read. It's kind of like a really warm gray. It has some brown tones in it. And then what I'm looking for is to kind of give it a stone look. And so what we're going to do is we're going to give it one good coat of this hazelwood, let it dry, and Fusion has its own sealer in it, so I don't need to be worried about sealing it. And then once it's dry, I'm going to go ahead and go in with some of the DIY's white wax, and that's going to make it kind of get down into those crevices and make it look more like a stone or a cement piece that can be sitting outside on your porch or in your garden. Here I'm going to go with just the shop towel. After I got all the wax on, I'm going to just rub off most of it and just leave it in the deep crevices. And that's going to give us our aged stone look. And then it's also going to seal that piece up really well. I think it just turned out gorgeous. Very cute little piece. I think when I was at the thrift store, I kept calling it a goat, but it's definitely a lamb. Okay, and on to project 4. So this is just a little tiny photo frame, but it's really heavy. I think it's cast iron, and it has a white paint on it with like a distressed look, but it's really dingy looking, and when I washed it, it never came off. So I just kind of want to give a fresh new look. I'm going to use my little tester Fusion paint. These little jars are great for small projects like this. And this color is cobblestone. It's still going to be hard to read, but it's just a really light grayish white color. And it just freshens up that dingy color that's been on there. You can see a difference there in the colors. And it just took one coat. There's a couple areas I went back and just applied a little bit more, but it didn't need full 2 coats. And then I'm going to let that dry. And then I'm going to use the Rub and Buff, and this time it's going to be Antique Gold. I'm going to just put a tiny bit on my finger, and then I'm going to actually use my little paper towel to rub off most of it. There, and then I'm just going to rub my finger over the high areas, and that's just going to highlight all those really pretty details. So we're going to go all the way around the frame, and then just even around the edges of the whole entire thing, just to bring out some of those details. And here you got a good look at that beautiful gold color along with that cobblestone. It's very pretty. So for the inside, what I want to do is I want to take this IOD stamp called LiQWYD, and there's a beautiful rose there. It's hard to see with that glare, but I'm going to use that rose, and I'm going to just put it on some white cardstock. We're going to stamp it on white cardstock. And then my plan is to watercolor it and then put it inside that photo frame. So anytime you have a new stamp, you always want to use your 220 grit sandpaper and rub it on the stamps to get them ready to have the ink applied on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to just push it down. We're going to hold it with one hand and lightly press with your fingers with the other. And so here is the watercolors. I'm going to use Gypsy Green and Cowgirl Coral, and then Petticoat Pink in the DIY paint. Just need a very tiny bit because these paints are very pigmented. And then I'm just going to add some water to each of the palettes there to be able to water those down. I want just a really light, muted flower, so we want it to not be so bright. And I noticed that's why I got this little baby wipe out, is there was a couple areas that I got too dark or too thick, and so I was able to use that baby wipe to pat it off and kind of mute it down. Okay, and here's the final product there. It turned out really pretty. And I don't need to seal it or anything because it's going to be inside the frame, but look at that. Isn't that so pretty? And it doesn't take very long at all to do these little DIY projects. Makes it really nice to add something to your home decor. And the fifth project is clock, this mantle clock. I wasn't able to check to see if it worked at the store, so I checked it at home and it does not work. So what my plan is I'm going to paint it all black with the DIY's black there. And then what we're going to do is seal it with a big top. And once that dries, then I'm going to be adding some white paint to it and then distressing it back so we can have some of that black pop through. And instead of being a clock, I'm going to use that insert to put something really pretty in it. So this is the DIY beadboard. This is the color I chose to do the entire clock. And I do kind of brush the first coat on, but I also use a pouncing motion to give it some texture, and that makes it so that you don't hardly see any of the brush strokes as well. So I did 2 full coats of the DIY beadboard. And then now I'm going to take and dismantle this little piece here. The top pops just right off, which was nice. And then I kind of pulled these little arms off of the clock and kind of struggled getting that white piece out. And then I figured out, well, the whole back end just pops right out. But that took me a hot minute. So you'll see in just a second. And there it is. I was like, oh, well, that was easy. So what we're going to do is just paint that ring, that gold ring, the same color, the beadboard white. And then I'm going to take some white cardstock again and cut out a circle so you can see all the texture there. It makes it really nice. And then I'm going to take a baby wipe and distress it back. And this wet distressing technique is super, super easy. It makes it look really natural, kind of like a natural wear. And here it is, distressed back. You can have that black popping through. Makes it look a little bit older. And if that's not your style, of course, you can skip that step. Some people don't want distressing, and that's totally fine too. And so we're going to go ahead and make a circle that fits inside that little plastic part. And then I'm going to use the IOD birdsong mold. And I'm going to pick a bird that fits inside there. And I'm going to put my cornstarch in first so that my clay doesn't stick to it. It's a IOD air dry clay. And then just press it down in there. And then I got a little tool from the dollar store. You'll see here in a second. And it's got a flat edge, and it makes it really easy to just push down and smear off the extra clay. So these molds have a little micro rim, which also makes it really, really easy to do this technique. And that way you can get all those gorgeous details when you flip it over. I'm going to use the gravity method. Just kind of flip it over and let gravity take its course to pull it out. And I'll show you here a close-up picture of all the details. Came out super pretty. So I want to keep the bird white to go with the white frame. But the cardstock, of course, can't stay white because then you won't see it as well. So I plan on using Fusion's French eggshell color. I'm going to use 2 coats and paint that little cardstock. And then we will glue that onto the plastic backing for the clock mechanism. And there's 2 coats on that. And actually it's not glue, I use double-sided sticky tape. So I used to be a card maker, so I have a lot of that on hand still. Made it easy. And now I'm going to glue with the Titebond Quick and Thick that little bird onto that cardstock. And I just put a little blob on there and rub it around until it fills the entire bird. And then we're going to pop that plastic piece back on. And it's not going to go anywhere. Typically, if it wasn't secure like it is in there, I would tape it down and let it sit for 24 hours. But it was really, really tight in there. So now I'm going to go ahead and go through with Big Top and seal the entire clock, since it was a chalk-based paint. And look at how pretty that turned out. So even if you don't want to use a mold, you can put a transfer in there. You can decoupage paper. Do a lot of different things with those old clocks that don't work. Okay, so this little bird lamp, I do not like the color. I went ahead and sanded it down with 220 grit sandpaper just to give it some grit for the paint to adhere to. And we're going to use the Sweet Pickins Milk Paint and Sweetie Jane. And I also use some Extra Bond just to help adhere that because it's a slick surface. So you use 1 part of the paint to 1 part water, mix it really well, let it sit for a few minutes until it thickens up. And then the first coat, I let it dry naturally. I'm trying not to get too many crackles on the first go round. And it ended up doing a bunch anyway. That's the thing with milk paint, is it's unpredictable, but that's the cool thing about it too. So after the second coat, I used my heat gun to make it crackle more. And then I think I even put a 3rd coat on. And then after the 3rd coat, I went ahead with my 220 grit sandpaper. We're going to knock some of the bigger chips off. You can see those chunks of paint there. And then I'm going to go in with the Sweet Pickins Top Coat Flat Matte. And that's going to help seal that milk paint in and keep it from chipping anymore. When I was done with that, I decided, well, I wanted the crackles to come through a little bit more. So I'm going to use the DIY Dark Wax and then just rub it into those cracked areas. Let it kind of sit down into those crevices. I'm going to leave it on for a second and then just wipe it off gently. And that's going to allow a lot of those crackles to pop out a lot more so you can see it there. So this little piece of wood I got at a thrift store. It didn't have anything with it, but I have a little glass cloche that I'm going to use on it. And it was a really, I don't know if you guys can tell, but that orangey color, orangey red. So what I've done is I've sprayed the Easy Off Oven spray on it. I'm going to let it sit for about 20 to 30 minutes, and then we're going to scrub it off and see if we can get some more natural wood color. If we can't, then we'll go ahead and seal it and paint it, but hoping this trick works out really well. Okay, so it's been about a half an hour and still looks pretty orange. I haven't done anything yet, so we're gonna go rinse it off and see what we can find underneath. See how orange this is? Look in the, get closer. Put some of this Dawn. Well, I guess it's a good step if it doesn't work, but I'd have to do something like this to keep all that from bleeding through the paint. Anyway. Okay, so we still have a red tone. We're gonna go ahead and possibly do another coat and see how that turns out. Okay, so this is what it looks like after 2 times of doing that oven cleaner. It's still really, really orange. It must just be the wood. And I know I didn't get all of it off. But so I'm gonna just go ahead and spray it with some shellac, a couple coats of the Zinsser Bullseye shellac, and that's gonna help keep that from bleeding through with the paint. And since it's like 90 degrees outside, I'm gonna use that to dry it. Okay, so far I've got 2 coats of this Rust-Oleum Chalked Serenity Blue spray paint, and that's what it's looking like right now. I'm gonna put probably 1 more coat on, and then we'll see how it looks after that. Okay, so this is after 3 coats. It's completely dried, and now I'm going to go in with some 220 sandpaper and just lightly rub on it, kind of smooth it out, and bring it, that natural color back out just a tiny bit. It's not super, super red or orange, but just enough to kind of look like a wood tone. And then place my glass cloche on top. See how pretty everything turned out? I want to thank you guys again for watching today's video. Share with me which was your favorite project. And again, be looking for the post about the upcoming giveaway. I hope you all have a great day, and we'll see you soon. Bye.